Okay guys, today we're going to complete some word problems, and all of these word problems have to do with division. And so there are 5 problems that you will need to complete on the Google Slides. I'm going to do the first one with you, and then you're going to do the next 4 on your own. I recommend that you solve these on a separate sheet of paper, and when you're done solving them on a separate sheet of paper, you need to take a picture and upload them to Google Classroom after you finish editing your slides. But I do also want to see you doing cubes on each of the problems, okay? That's going to be part of your assignment, and if you're not doing cubes, I'm going to take off some points. So make sure that you are writing cubes on each slide. Remember, the C stands for circle the numbers, the U stands for underline the question, B stands for box in keywords, E stands for eliminate unimportant information, and S stands for solve the problem. Okay, so I'm going to first read this question or this word problem. And remember, I've told you guys, we read word problems more than once. We read it multiple times until we fully understand the meaning. Okay, so this one says, Mr. Jones is in charge of the tiger area at the city zoo. He feeds the tigers 120 pounds of raw meat every 3 days. How many pounds of meat is he feeding them every day? Okay, so the first thing that I want to do when I'm using cubes is circle my numbers, okay? And I'm going to circle 120, and I'm going to circle the word pounds with 120, okay? And then I'm also going to circle 3 days, okay? So I have circled my numbers, and then I'm going to go ahead and underline my question. Now, the question is usually the very last sentence of the word problem. So in this case, our question is, how many pounds of meat is he feeding them every day? Okay, so I can mark out the U because I've underlined my question. And now I want to box in the key words. So if I'm looking at this problem, I know that the word every day is important, okay? And for every 3 days, that is also important. And I'm looking for how many pounds, right? I'm looking for how many pounds of meat he is feeding them every day. Okay, so I think that's pretty much it. I think I've boxed in the key words. Now I do see a sentence that I can just eliminate. I really don't need that first sentence where it says, Mr. Jones is in charge of the tiger area at the city zoo. I don't really know that need to know that he's in charge of that tiger area. So if you would like, you can cross that or eliminate that sentence. The rest of the word problem is the most important part. That is what we need to do, okay? All right, and so I'm going to cross out my E to show that I've eliminated the unimportant information, and then my last step is to solve. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to solve it on a separate sheet of paper. And before we go and solve, we need to make sure that we know what operation that we're going to use. And so I've given you a strategy before. It's called the GET strategy. And remember, when we're trying to decide if we should multiply or if we should divide, this is the strategy that we use, okay? And so I'm going to write GET down here at the bottom. Okay, and remember the G stands for the groups or the number of groups we have. The E stands for the number in each group, and the T stands for total. Okay, now remember, if we're looking for the groups, we're going to divide. If we're looking for the number in each group, we're also going to divide. But if we're looking for the total, then we're going to multiply. Okay, so let's look back at our problem and plug in our numbers into our GET strategy, okay? I know that he has a total, right? My total is going to be that 120 pounds of raw meat, okay? He takes that 120 pounds of raw meat and he feeds it to the tigers every 3 days, okay? So I'm going to put my 3 as my groups, right? Every 3 days, that would be a group. I'm looking for how many pounds of meat he is feeding them every day. Or you can think about that as how many pounds of meat he's feeding them each day. So I'm looking for my E. Okay, so that means I'm going to divide. Okay, I'm going to take my total, 120, and I'm going to divide it by 3 to get the number in each group. So I've gone ahead and moved to a separate sheet of paper, which is what you need to be doing when you're solving these problems. Okay, and I've gone ahead and I've put a number 1 to show that I'm solving problem number 1. I've taken the total, which was 120 pounds of raw meat. I'm actually going to go ahead and write pounds out to the side over here. Okay, and I'm put my divisor out to the side, which was the days, right? Every 3 days he fed the tigers. Okay, and so I'm looking for how much food he feeds each day, or how many pounds of meat he feeds them every day. Okay, so remember, anytime we're doing a division problem, we need to make sure that the first thing that we do is write our multiples out to the side. So this time I'm going to write my multiples of 3. Okay, so that would be 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, and that is probably good. Okay, and then I want to use that DMSB strategy, right? Dangerous monkeys swipe bananas. Okay, let me write that out over here. Dangerous monkeys swipe bananas. Remember, the D stands for divide, the M stands for multiplication, the S stands for subtract, and the B stands for bring down. Okay, and you might have to repeat that process multiple times until you are finished with your division problem. So let's first look. Can I fit a group of 3 inside of 1? No, it is way too big. 3 cannot go inside of 1, so I'm going to stick a 0 up here. Okay, and so I did my D, I divided, and now I'm going to multiply, right? 0 times 3 is 0. Now I need to subtract. 1 minus 0 is 1. And now I bring down that 2. Okay, now I need to decide, okay, how many groups of 3 can go into 12? Well, our multiples over here is what comes in handy. So I see the number 12. So all I need to do is count how many groups of 3 make up 12. Well, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 4 times 3. Okay, 4 times 3 is 12. And then I would subtract, right? 12 minus 12 is 0. Okay. I'm not finished. My remainder down here is smaller than my divisor, but I'm not finished because I have another number to bring down. So I have to make sure that I bring that 0 down. Okay. Now I have to repeat the process. Anytime you bring a number down, you have to repeat the process. How many groups of 3 can go into 0? Well, no groups of 3 can go into 0. So I'm going to stick a 0 up top, and then I'm going to multiply. 0 times 3 is 0, and 0 minus 0 is 0. Okay, and I am now finished. I have no more numbers to bring down, and my remainder is smaller than my divisor. Okay, so I can go ahead and look at my quotient, which is 40. So I know that Mr. Jones feeds 40 pounds of meat to the tigers every single day. Okay, and a good way of checking yourself would be to do the inverse operation of division, which is multiplication, right? We could take 40 and multiply it by 3 to see if we get 120. Okay, and I believe we do.